Hello. Good evening. Good afternoon. Good morning. Wherever you are in the world, we're back. Um, it's been some time. Some real life road bumps. Some scheduling conflicts, but here we are. Uh, it's good to be back. I think we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Ryan, glad to see you, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, sorry for the scheduling conflicts. My manager is hard to get a hold of sometimes. It's, busy. A lot of people asking me to be on their shows. So thanks to both you and Gary, who's not here, for putting up with my scheduling issues.
You're good. You're good. Um, yeah, I went to the state of Florida for a vacation and came back, and my whole world was kind of falling apart around me there for a minute. But we've landed on our feet, and we're closing in on the end of the regular season here in the NBA. So that being said, let's tonight's show is going to be a little probably faster than normal. As I look up, I'm about to watch BYU and Alabama tip off the basketball in our first Sweet 16 game. March is a basketball laden month for the entire universe, right? But we're here to talk about the NBA, and then we'll throw some college in on the back end. We have, I think you and I were talking today, we have anywhere from 12 to 10 games left in the regular season. Next week, when Gary is back on the show, we're gonna pick our award winners, right? So MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, whatever awards we decide to give out here, we'll do that next week when the three of us are all back. But Ryan and I are going to talk about our favorite potential first round matchups. I'm going to let Ryan talk now because I'm going to see if I can find a bracket of potential first round matchups so I don't have to do this on the fly. Ryan, you want to tell the people about your recent NBA viewing experience losing to the Jokic-less Nuggets?
We don't have to bring that up, but
Oh,
I
sorry.
guess, yeah, the Rockets were on a 9-game winning streak. Uh, we're playing the Nuggets, who are third in the West. We're second in the West, so pretty big game. To separate yourself, try to end up as the 2 seed. Jokic is out, and they're like maybe he'll come back next game, which I believe he did come back the next game. Um, and yeah, we came out about as flat as you possibly can. Uh, and yeah, it was an awful experience. uh, it just defense looked bad, not engaged. Um, Offense couldn't score, which is that happens a lot. But yeah, frustrating. When you're pushing into the playoffs, and it's like these games should be the games you're fully engaged. These last quarter, of the season,
Yeah.
past that point even, and especially against a team that is, heavily injured, missing by far their best player, and they're your main competition for the 2 seed.
Right.
So that was a little frustrating. But then we won the next game, and so we're still 9-1 over our last 10. Uh, and I can't complain too much about that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you have such a young core, a fairly young coach. 9-1 your last 10. You have a 2.5 game lead over the third place team in the West, which, as you so dutifully tell us all the time, being a top 4 seed in the West, something impressive.
Yeah, I think 2 and 3 are the most important positions to be here because 4 and 5, you win that and you get to play OKC almost assuredly in the second round. 2 and 3, you at least could potentially play, each other, which is probably not. You're a little closer competitively to those teams. And I mean, the West is tough, like 2 through really whoever makes the playoffs and playing are within a couple games of each other. Sacramento and Phoenix have dropped off. Like they're 6 games back of Minnesota, but Minnesota to Houston all pretty close. Like they're within the ballpark of each other. Like those might all be pretty close to toss-ups, just kind of matchup dependent. So I think it's important in that situation to play as many of those as you can and hope that one beats OKC before you have to. I think that's the strategy there.
Yeah, 100%. You want to avoid excuse me, you want to avoid Oklahoma City for as long as possible. And like you said, the 2 through 8 in the West right now are separated by 6 games with, an average of 11 left to play. Well, all right, I've got the bracket up here in front of me. Let's do we're doing this all on the fly because we don't prepare very well on this show. But I'm going to read, here's what I'll do first. I'm going to read the 4 play-in game matchups. And I'll let you tell me which of those is your favorite, and I'll tell you which one of those is my favorite, right? So we're going to start in the West. We'll go 9-10 is Kings and Suns. And 7-8 is Warriors, Timberwolves. Yeah, that's correct. This is coming off NBA.com, so I would hope so. And then in the East, you get Bulls, Heat in the 9-10, and you get Hawks, Magic in the 7-8. So I know which one is my favorite. I would love for you to tell me which one is going to be your favorite of the play-in matchups, and then we'll move on to the actual projected first round if the season ended today.
Yeah, I think both the West games are. I think Atlanta is interesting. Atlanta's a little beat up, obviously. Like I wish they had Jalen Johnson because I think that would actually make Paolo having to guard Jalen Johnson and vice versa. I think would be pretty interesting. Or Franz. So I think that has the potential, but actually both those teams are beat up, right? Jalen Suggs is gone. They're both not at full strength. So I think a full strength matchup would actually be pretty interesting of that. Miami, Chicago, I literally don't care. I mean, I do, but very, very little.
Yeah.
Miami is not very good. I think the Bulls are probably even worse, even though they're a game up on Miami. I would much rather Toronto somehow sneak in there. I know they're 5 games back, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I would much rather watch Toronto, Chicago, or Toronto, Miami. At Golden State, Minnesota, great first game. Old guard, Warriors, a star everybody thinks in the making with Anthony Edwards, right? Got to do it in the playoffs, which he showed last year, flashes of it. So, and I think they've been pretty good. I think they're better than their record. I like Minnesota, and Golden State obviously has been pretty good since the trade with Jimmy Butler. Steph Curry is hurt now, so that doesn't affect you well. But I think a healthy Steph Curry, a healthy Jimmy Butler, and some of the surrounding cast, I think that's an interesting matchup. And I think Sacramento Phoenix is interesting. Oh, the dogs are here to play.
Yeah, they're. Go in the other room. Go that way. Sorry, go ahead. No, I'm listening, good. I promise.
Phoenix, Sacramento, I think is interesting because they play a very different style. Both probably less well than they would like to play it. Phoenix, a very one-on-one type situation, pretty much across the board. There are 3 guys all kind of like to have the ball in their hands. We've talked about this before. And I think Sacramento with Sabonis is much more of a ball movement team. So I would like to see those, though I think there is a decent drop-off for whoever loses Golden State, Minnesota. There's a decent drop-off to Sacramento and Phoenix, the winner of that, having to play the loser of the other one. But it's a 1-game series, so Sacramento could beat Minnesota or Golden State in a 1-game series, so could Phoenix. We very well could see either one of them in the playoffs. The good thing about Sacramento and Phoenix is they get the privilege of, if they make it to the playoffs, get the privilege of playing Oklahoma City. So, what a what a victory royale they'll be doing after that.
Sorry, these dogs ripped the couch cushion open. And they're very proud of themselves.
That is impressive.
Yeah, there are 2 couch covers on that couch. Yeah, huge, huge prize you get if you win the 9-10 game, and then you get to go and play fucking Oklahoma City in the first round.
Yeah,
and the potential MVP of the league this year.
Yeah, and you still got to get through Minnesota or Golden State too, so it's not even easy to get the 8 seed.
Yep. Exactly.
Though I do think Phoenix, Oklahoma City would be interesting just to see KD have to play. They could be like, look what you could have had if you stayed here, which I know doesn't make any sense because obviously they would not be the same team if he had stayed there. But that would be just an interesting dynamic. I think. Have they played each other in the playoffs? OKC, has he played against OKC in the playoffs? I can't think of any. When he was with the Warriors, when they were in the playoffs, when he was with the Warriors, I don't know if they ever played each other.
I think they may have played one series when he was in Golden State. Because I vaguely remember, and I could be wrong, obviously, like a welcome back to OKC like playoff moment.
Right.
Again, not positive, but I think that happened.
Let's see. They played each other in the Western Conference Finals.
There we go.
In 2016, they played. It went to 7 games, and Golden State beat Oklahoma City. That was like the Andre Robertson years. I forgot about that. 2016. Is that right? 2016? Was it that far back?
15 was the Warriors' first championship. 16 was the 73-win team, right?
Yeah, so that's either I think that might actually be the last year he was in Oklahoma City. So I can't actually find where he played the Warriors. Doesn't really matter. I just thought that I think that's interesting, potentially them playing each other, because I'm not sure if it's happened. If it has, I think it's only happened once. So because he was in Brooklyn, and then Phoenix has been its own weird ride. So
very, very strange. A lot of up and down there, mostly down.
Yeah, both those teams. Yes.
Well, my favorite, and this should come as no shock to anyone who's watched this show for any amount of time. Orlando, baby. Paolo Banchero, since the All-Star break, has been playing like a top. I'm going to say top 5. Others could argue like top 10 guy in the NBA.
Yeah, others could argue.
You could. I mean, you'd be wrong, but you could try to make the argument, I guess. He's just been on an absolute tear since the All-Star break. And if he and Franz don't both go down with the exact same injury early in the season, what could have been for this team, we started off the season talking about them being like a top 4 seed in the East, one of the a formidable team to go through in the playoffs. Then he goes down and misses a bunch of time. Franz goes down, misses a bunch of time. Jalen Suggs obviously out for the rest of the year. Jet Howard, kind of a wasted lottery pick there, in my opinion. He really is not even playing for them that much. It's not great vibes in Orlando outside of the Paolo Banchero show. I'm obviously joking about that one being my favorite play-in game, but it does add an interesting element to it. I'm with you. I'm sorry a lot happened, but I think that you said the Warriors and Timberwolves was your favorite play-in matchup. And
yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. That's what I'm going to pick as well. You get Anthony Edwards, you get Steph, you get Jimmy Butler, you get Jaden McDaniels trying to match up. I would assume that he's going to be chasing Steph around, if I had to guess. Or they'll just send him out to guard Jimmy Butler. Either way, that should be a lot of fun. And then they get to move on and play the winner of the Kings and Suns game. Similarly to you, I don't really care about the Bulls or the Heat. The Bulls are interesting because, Modest Buzelis has been playing pretty well recently. That's a cool story arc to see. guy flourishing late in the season. We see it every year, but like every year it's cool to see that, Some of these
Chicago
tanking
kid
teams.
too.
Yeah, exactly. These teams tanking at the bottom kind of send their guys home early, so then rookies who get to play against these tanking teams can kind of show out at the end of the season. And Modest seems to be the guy taking advantage of that right now. Well, we were in agreement on that one, Ryan. So let's move to.
Can I ask you a question real fast?
Of course, yeah.
Orlando gets the 7th seed.
Mm-hmm.
They have to play Boston.
Okay.
More than likely, right? I don't think
Yeah.
there's really any chance. There's basically no chance. It would have to be the most incredible collapse ever for that to not be the case. Or Cleveland collapses, I guess, but that's unlikely too. They play the series 100 times. How many times does Orlando win that series?
Out of 100, full strength or current injury?
Current. I mean, yeah, have to do current.
Out of conservatively 73, 74?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Crazy, same number actually.
Yeah, right. Exact same ballpark. Yeah.
And I felt like I was being conservative.
I mean, probably the other way, for being honest, though. Like Boston probably smokes them.
Do you think it is more than 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Out of 100, yeah.
That's not bad. Like, you don't feel terrible about a 10% plus chance to win. Like,
here's the thing about Orlando. You watch them sometimes. Like, they could be playing the worst defensive team in the NBA. And their offense is still bad. It's truly, truly shocking. I don't understand. Like, I'm thinking, I just don't have an MVP vote, but next week when we give out these awards, I'm thinking about putting in a vote for Jalen Suggs to win MVP of the league, because the way that this team looked at the beginning of the season when they were all healthy and he was there was so much better than it is now. And everybody else is back except for him. And apparently he's just the fucking difference between being the 3rd best team in the East and being the 8th best team in the East.
Yeah, it is weird because he did step up offensively while both those guys were gone. And I was like, oh, I think we talked about this. I said, oh, this would be an interesting 3-man offense now. Because he kind of does, he stretches the floor unlike those other 2 guys do effectively. Paolo's had his moments. Franz has just gotten flat. He just flattened out his 3-point shooting percentage. I thought he was going to be an average 3-point shooter, but I think he's shooting 30% this year, which is pretty bad. I thought with those 3 guys, they might be scary with their defense, that 2 of those 3 guys are going during a game, they could probably beat a lot of teams.
Yeah. But
without Suggs, they lose obviously defensively. And I don't think Cole Anthony or Anthony Black is giving them enough. I know they were playing Corey Joseph, starting Corey Joseph, and I'm like, oh my God, Corey Joseph's still in the league. He actually doesn't look that bad, but Anthony Black can't give you anything. Cole Anthony, I know, has been hurt, but Cole Anthony can't give you anything. Come off the bench and score. I don't know. Just it's a poorly constructed team as is, but they look even worse without Suggs, by a lot.
Yeah, and I still think that Anthony Black can be a good player in the NBA, but he's got a lot of growing to do, and he's doing it at a slower rate than I had expected when he came out of college. So that's not super promising, but I still have faith. I'm not selling any of my stock in Anthony Black.
Yeah, I like Anthony Black. He's averaging 9, 3, and 3 this year. Not incredible, but 23 minutes. He's not playing a lot.
Yeah.
What is his shoot? Let me check his shooting splits real fast. 42 from the field, 31 from 3, 75 from free throw. You think the touch is at least there a little bit. 75 from. It's not like he's a 50% shooter or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like he can get it, but it's just 42, 30, 31 ain't gonna get you there. At 42 at his size is not good either. He should be scoring close to the basket at a higher rate for for a guard.
He's tall and big. He's not like a slender guy.
Yeah, he's pretty wide for his position for sure.
Yep.
Maybe Orlando. My last comment about Orlando. They should draft literally anyone playing in this Alabama BYU game because they're going to score 200 points.
I know, right?
It's crazy.
We're not even halfway through when we're at 47 points.
Yeah,
not even halfway through the first half, I should say.
It's fun to watch these teams though because they take the ball out of the basket and they're just gone. Like even if you score on them, they're like, "All right, take it out and go." Like, don't wait around. Let's go.
Running off a made basket, it's a great way to play.
Yeah, I like both these teams are fun to watch.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to our favorite actual playoff matchups, and then we'll talk some college real quick, and we'll get the people out of here so they can go watch the Duke Blue Devils play in the Sweet 16.
Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be a rough year losing in the Sweet 16.
God, don't you put that on? Why would you put that out there, dude? Just take your bad vibes somewhere else, Brian. And I think it's because you're scared. That's what it is. You don't want Houston to lose to Duke twice, 2 years in a row in the tournament. That's what it is.
Is it? No, we lost to Miami last year.
No, you lost to Duke because Jamal Shead got hurt.
Oh, 2 years ago was Miami, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm getting old. These years are blending together.
Well, 2 years ago, Miami went to the Final Four.
Yeah,
you guys on the way there. So at least you can say 2 years in a row you lost to a Final Four team.
Yeah, that's the skill we have.
Duke didn't make the Final Four last year because they lost to NC State in the Elite Eight.
Oh well, yeah, we lost Sweet 16 to y'all. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's go West first. I'm not really sure how I want to do this. Oklahoma City is playing the 8 seed.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Then you get 4-5 is Lakers Grizzlies. You get 3-6 is Nuggets Clippers. And then your 2 seed Houston Rockets will be playing the 7 seed. I'm going to eliminate that one from the pool for you, so you cannot pick the Houston Rockets. I know you're fairly objective, but I'm just going to go ahead and take that one out of there for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Then you get the 1 seed in the East, Cleveland Cavaliers playing the 8 seed. You get a 4-5 matchup between – this is an old school NBA matchup. Pacers-Pistons, 4-5. I say old school as I date myself here a little bit. We get 3-6 is Knicks, Bucks, and on the Bucks, we're not entirely sure the status of Dame. He's got some blood clotting issues going on, so he's been sidelined indefinitely. Real bummer for Milwaukee, a team that was playing pretty well as of late. They'd kind of figured some things out after the Middleton deal, but tough break for Dame. And then you get the 2 seed Celtics and whoever the 7 seed is. And I don't think that either of us will be shocked if the Cavs and the Celtics both sweep.
Yeah.
All right. I know I can run through this pretty quickly. If you need a reminder, let me know. But, Ryan, your favorite currently projected first-round matchup and why?
Probably Detroit, Indiana. I think the history is actually interesting too. Like there's some somehow residual animosity in those franchises. I think everybody knows what we're talking about. But, Detroit making the playoffs, I think, has been a great story. You know, every year we weren't sure when they were going to push into the playoff picture. Cade's been healthy all year. He's been really good this year, all-star. I think we got a lot of improvement on that team. Defensively, they look pretty decent, and offensively, they're solid. But I think they play both sides of the floor. I like a lot of their roster. I think if they were fully healthy, they'd be even scarier. But Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, who I think has been better defensively this year, still needs to get better. He looks a little lost sometimes, but Cade Cunningham, like I said, has been great. 25, 6, and 9 this year. Great, absolutely great year. Tim Hardaway, Asar Thompson looks like one of the best perimeter defenders in the league already. At 22, I believe he is. And I think it should be an interesting matchup with the speed that Indiana wants to play at, the scoring pace. I think Detroit could potentially match their scoring pace. Because Indiana's defense is not amazing. But yeah, I like what Detroit brings to the table. I think Indiana obviously is interesting across the board. I think they have talent with Pascal and Tyrese, and Benedict Matherin's had a great year. We've talked about it before, so I think there's a lot of interesting cross matches there. So yeah, I think that's my favorite, and I think they might be the closest team in talent on the East that could potentially play each other. So that's at least for my Eastern Conference. That's my favorite matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a fantastic matchup. I was very much tempted to take them, but I'm glad you did. So we got to talk about it a little bit, or at least you did. I'm very torn on this one. I really want to take the Lakers and Grizzlies because do you remember we did our most interesting teams after the trade deadline, and me and Gary both picked the Lakers, and they've been pretty damn interesting since the trade went through. Luka is seeming to fit in seamlessly. There we go. Say that 5 times fast. Luka's fitting in very, very well there in LA. They're building their team chemistry and on court chemistry together. That team Reeves has been playing incredibly well. Looking like one of the most team friendly deals in the NBA there for that guy. But I'm gonna go to the 3-6 matchup, and I'm gonna take Nuggets Clippers. I've been besmirching the Nuggets organization all year long for not putting a contending team, like a real contending team, around Jokic, and I still kind of feel that way. Why they couldn't pay Bruce Brown was a little baffling to me. I know they gave a lot of that money to oh my God, Michael Porter Jr. and then Aaron Gordon got his extension after the championship. So I kind of get it, but the key to winning championships is to keep good players in place, and they've lost quite a few of them since that championship run 3 years ago now at this point. That being said, they still have the best basketball player in the world on their team, the only guy ever to have a 30-20-20 game in basketball history, unless somebody says that Wilt did it, but I'm not sure that I'll believe them because we haven't seen any videos of him ever doing anything incredible. And then on the flip side from the Nuggets, right? I'm picking this series because of Jokic. I love watching him. I watch him every instance, like every chance I get. And then you go to the other side, right? You get Kawhi Leonard, who's gone out in the playoffs each of the last 2 years. You get James Harden, who has kind of reemerged as a really borderline dominant offensive player in the NBA. His numbers are down, but if you watch the games, the way he controls the tempo and runs the offense through himself while still getting everybody else involved it's like watching prime Harden play with half a step less. It's really cool stuff. If you haven't watched the Clippers, I would recommend it. Ty Lue, championship winning coach, one of the best in the league. I know that LeBron kind of wanted to play for him the rest of his career. That was what was reported years ago whenever they eventually split. So I think that matchup is just very intriguing. What will the Clippers look like? Will they stay healthy? And then can Jokic go on a generational run and put this team on his back with diminished talent compared to the last time they went to the NBA Finals? They're going to be looking to avenge their Game 7 home loss last year to Minnesota. Obviously, this is not against Minnesota, but the last time we saw them in the playoffs, they blew a 24-point lead at home to Minnesota. So how they bounce back from that, how the team looks around Jokic, that's, to me, aside from the Pacers and Detroit series, the Clippers and Nuggets series is probably the most intriguing in my opinion.
Oh, Gary, he just found us.
Oh,
Yeah, I think the Clippers is really interesting, right? Kawhi's back. James, like you said, has been playing pretty well. 80% of what he was, which is still very good. Chris Dunn's been an all-world perimeter defender this year. He's always been a good defender, but getting the run now to really show it. That would be an interesting matchup if he can cause issues for Jamal Murray. Zubats probably would be at least be able to put a body on Jokic. You can only do so much, but and I think Leonard on Michael Porter Jr. Could shut down a lot of the talent. That might be like a Christian Braun series. Brown. I read his name phonetically in my mind. Christian Brown. I think there's a lot of interesting cross matches there. And then a guy like Ben Simmons, Derrick Jones Jr., there's some size coming off the bench for the Clippers that could cause some problems. Yep. I think that'd be an interesting series. I think the matchup is interesting. So I do like that. And I think they're, especially with Kawhi Leonard back, I think they're pretty comparable. That's probably a 46-win team if Leonard plays, most of the season. So I think there's a talent level is similar. So
yeah, if Leonard is healthy, they have a chance to be awesome.
Yeah. If they won the championship, it wouldn't shock me. That would not, if fully healthy, right? Obviously, I think OKC would crush them, but it just takes OKC to slip up in one series, and they don't even have to play them. So
yep, doors wide open if Oklahoma City goes down.
Yep.
All right, well, let's move on to the interesting stuff here and talk about the NCAA bracket.
Yeah.
All right, so we're down to the Sweet 16. Brian, I'll just ask you straight up, who's your pick, and do you have a justification for it?
Yeah, tell me why you're wrong. Yeah, I have Houston winning the whole thing, but as far as I'll give you my Sweet 16 picks very quickly.
Okay, that's fine.
I have Alabama beating BYU, though BYU can lay it in. They have the size at the guard position that could cause problems for Alabama. I know we're kind of halfway through the first half here, but it's been close. Alabama's shooting the ball well, But I think BYU has a legitimate chance to win this game. I think they're better than people think they are. But again, this could be a 90 to 88 game by the end of this, very easily, similar to BYU Wisconsin. Duke Arizona. I have Duke. I think Duke's the best team left in the tournament. I don't think Arizona is as good as the 4 seed. I think they've been playing better than I thought they were, but I do think they're a little bit of a one-trick pony sometimes with Caleb Love offensively. I have Michigan State beating Ole Miss. Just flat out think Michigan State's the better team. I have Auburn beating Michigan. Florida, Maryland. I have Florida, though Maryland, I always say their defense is bad. What I mean to say is their interior defense is not amazing because of Derek Queen, but he gives them so much offensive power. You have he's an Alperen Şengün-like player where he's not huge. He's 6'9"-ish. Plays the center point center. Yep. But Florida's got a lot of size, not just length, but size. And the guards can score the ball. Arkansas, Texas Tech. I'm actually going out on a limb, and I think Arkansas actually beats them.
Don't tell Brandon.
I know, I did it when I saw him today. I think Arkansas is a 5 seed at full strength. They just haven't been at full strength most years, so I think that's actually a closer matchup than it looks like. In Arkansas, they just got an energy about them when I watch them play. They look incredibly lost half the time, but the energy is good.
Yeah,
and I think if they can just coach to the matchup, which they've had days to figure it out, right? The zone could cause them problems like it did in their first round game against Kansas, but all they got to do is get the ball to the middle of the court and then work it from there. It's not hard. You just gotta practice it. Houston, I think Houston will crush Purdue. I think Purdue has a terrible matchup against Houston. I don't think that would be great. I think Houston kind of locks down all the things Purdue likes to do. Kentucky, Tennessee, I think is a wash. Like I think those teams are very close to each other. I did take Kentucky. I think both relatively experienced teams. Kentucky's like 100 years old now, compared to how they normally are since Calipari left. But yeah, I think it's going to be relatively chalky across the board outside of Arkansas.
I agree. I'm very chalky in my bracket right now. Typically, I would not do that when filling out March Madness bracket, but this year, like the 1s and 2s were just so strong in my opinion. I agree that Arkansas talent wise is underseeded at the 10. I'm not a Calipari guy though. I don't think he's a very good in-game or X's and O's coach. His teams often don't seem prepared. They get confused in different situations. You talked about the zone confusing them in the first round game against Kansas. They were just way more talented than that Kansas team was. So I'm not in on Arkansas. I would love to see Texas Tech keep marching on. I do think that we're going to come down to a Florida and Duke final. I've been high on Florida since they beat Auburn. I think it was back in like early December. They went to Auburn and won in the jungle. And ever since that game, I was like, yeah, this team is really, really, really good. They're super deep. They brought over the guard whose name I always forget. But he played for Rick Pitino at Iona last year. And St. John's just didn't have the NIL money to bring him up there and play in the Big East this year. So he went down and played in Gainesville for Todd Golden and the Gators. Why am I blanking on this point guard's name? Who's the point guard in Florida?
About Walter Clayton.
Yes, Walter Clayton.
Yep.
The third, right?
Junior, yeah.
Junior, yeah. He's a stud. That guy he just takes and makes so many big time shots for that Florida team. They're super fun to watch, but it's all about Duke this tournament, dude. Houston, obviously, also very good. Their defense is as good as advertised as it is every single season, and this year they have the offense to keep up with a lot of these teams in the court. But Duke is just so complete. Malik Brown might play tonight. He's listed as questionable, which means if they win tonight, we probably see him on Saturday, whenever they will have to play, I guess, the winner of this BYU-Alabama game. But, like, if Tyrese Proctor keeps shooting the fucking lights out like he is currently, and Cooper Flag stays healthy, yeah, like, they're just unbeatable. They played the best defense in the country. Nobody in their starting lineup is shorter than 6'4". I mean, they're complete, and it's time for John Shire to win a national title and complete the transition from Coach K to the Shire era and have everybody hate Duke again, because there's too many people that like Duke right now, and I don't love it. You know, I miss the days when the vitriol was there, and it just is not hitting the same. But
yeah, the only thing I would like is if Duke wins, I'm excited for all the Lord of the Rings / Hobbit memes about the Shire, because I know they'll come. So I am pro that.
I just hope that Nathan Hubbard gets into the game if they're winning the national championship, because he is like their real life mascot. It's awesome. He's their human victory cigar, if you will. They put him in at the end of these games when it's out of reach, and it's just awesome because he's a fan favorite and everyone goes nuts when he shoots the ball. It's incredible.
Yeah, those are always fun.
Always fun. Oh, yeah. I think so the story behind him, I looked it up the other day. His grandfather like funded the move for Trinity College to go from California to Durham and rebrand basically as Duke University. And so he's like a legacy student at Duke. And that's basically why he's on the team. He obviously, I would have to imagine that he was like very, very good at basketball in high school. And then they were like, oh, yeah, you can have our last bench spot. But it's a cool story. I really enjoy seeing that. But it's all about the national title this year, man. It's all about the national title. Revenge tonight against Caleb Love for the 2022 Final Four, ending Coach K's career. I hate Caleb Love the way a lot of people hate Christian Leitner. I just dislike. I mean, I enjoy watching him play basketball, but I dislike him as a basketball player, if that makes sense.
Yep, makes sense to me. I don't have either of your national championship teams in the national championship. I have Auburn, Houston, and Houston beating Auburn. I do think that Florida is a tough matchup for Auburn, though, if it gets to that point. But I in my initial bracket I had Florida losing in the Elite Eight. So things have changed. Obviously, that's just my initial bracket, but. We have a lot of 1 seeds, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
We have all 4 1 seeds in our 2 predictions.
Yeah, I had Iowa State, but they had too many injuries for me to keep it, and I had to swap.
Yeah, they run 3 guards a lot of the time, and one of them's hurt. I think they lost a big wrinkle to their team. I had them, I think, in the Elite Eight, and then I basically just took them. I had them losing in the second round because after he got hurt, I was just like, I don't feel great about the team.
Yeah. Well, we will be back next week. We appreciate everyone tuning in, hanging out with us. Sorry for the weeks of delay in getting these shows out. Again, there were just a lot of things happening, a lot of scheduling controversies. But we're back for the long haul, the end of season stretch here. Like I said, 10, 11, 12 games left for most of these teams. Then we're right into the playoffs. For myself and Ryan, we'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel. Thank y'all. Have a wonderful evening. Go Duke.